A long time ago, on a comics page far, far away. Greetings and welcome to May the Panel Be With You, the Star Wars comic book show brought to you by the Punch-Up Entertainment Network. I am your humble host, Mike Ergoni, and joining me, as always, the Lando to my Han, it's John Campbell.
Oh, I like when you go with a classic. Yeah,
look, sometimes they just serve it up to you, and you gotta go with the originals.
Because our boy is here, man. Here he comes, swaggering into this week's issue with his cape fluttering right from the cover.
Yes, indeed, because this week we are covering Star Wars by Marvel Comics Group, the original Marvel run of Star Wars, number 43, right in the middle of their adaptation of The Empire Strikes Back. This issue was originally released in January of 1981, with a lot of the same creative team that we've seen up to this point. We've got Archie Goodwin on writing, Al Williamson on pencils, Carlos Garzon on inks, Glennis Ween Oliver on colors, and Rick Veitch on letters, with a Mr. James Shooter Esquire as the editor-in-chief.
The fanciest of shooters are involved in this.
I went ahead and looked, and the issue after we stopped covering The Empire Strikes Back, he goes back to Jim Shooter in the credits.
Oh, because he knew that these were going to be the ones people picked up. So we wanted this is like him putting on his best suit for the, Jim Shooter in his Sunday best is calling himself James.
Yeah.
That's right. I run this company. Yes, it's. Well, I don't know what to say other than it's still Empire Strikes Back, folks.
Yeah, we're edging in towards the end here. This is our penultimate issue of the Empire Strikes Back coverage by Marvel Comics, and
we've entered the third act of the movie.
We've entered the third act. We're now at a point where there's only so much they can deviate from the end of this film, right? So something I noticed in this issue and the next issue we'll be covering is that there's a lot less like wild changes or like deviations from things in the movie. It's all there's a couple of like big instances, and we'll see one of them in this issue. But for the most part, we're kind of in the last little stretch here, and there's only so much wiggle room you got.
Because I think that the end of this was fairly locked in. You know what I mean? Like, I think everybody was pretty much agreed. And also, they now have had enough time to have seen the movie plenty of times. Like, okay, we got it. But yeah, it's issue 43. It's Betrayal at Bespin.
Yeah, let's get to this cover here. We are being betrayed at Bespin. Spoiler alert, there might be a betrayal on Bespin.
That is an interesting thing about these comics, because they are being sold to an audience who has obviously already seen the movie. So it is sort of like, now read this part of the movie that you remember.
Right. Like, you're not telling this as an organic story in which the expectation of Lando betraying Han is built into the book, I guess, because you already know it's coming. It's such a weird dynamic to have as a storyteller.
Well, it's an interesting thing, and actually shout out to friends of the show, the fellows over the Prodigious Saps podcast that our pal Brendan Jones hosts. They did an episode a few weeks back about what it was like to be first-generation Star Wars fans, being kids when these came out. And something they talked about that I think is a big part of why these books existed was, in a world where there was you couldn't wait and get it on video necessarily.
Yeah.
There was a desperation to relive the movie somehow without making begging your parents to drag you back to the theater and see it again. So there were things like the audio adventures or these comics were. So I do think there is sort of just like, well, this is my copy of Empire Strikes Back that I can relive again and again as a kid in 1980.
Totally. Yeah, no. And we were the generation who came up with a VHS tape that we could wear out. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It was always we are that next generation, which I think is very interesting, because we were the generation, as we've always talked about, where all three were basically one movie to us, right? Like Star Wars as a trilogy. It's not like I would pop one on and not the other. I pretty much watched the three almost as a single entity.
I mean, maybe not in one sitting every single time, but yeah.
Yeah, but it was always like we always knew a 3-act story across those movies. There was never any doubt.
Right. No, exactly. And where we filled in the gaps before and after were in the media we're attempting to document on this show, which Actually, honestly, by the time you and I were coming up, we'd already moved past the Marvel Comics and into the Dark Horse era, which I'm very excited to get to more of.
We were Dark Horse kids, yeah, no
Yeah.
question about it. Yeah, but yes, Lando's cape though, looking sweet on this cover.
Look, Lando's always got two things going for him: an immaculate swagger and an immaculate collection of capes.
Those capes, man, and and also so happy that my boy Lobot's on the cover.
Your boy Lobot.
Well, I'm sorry, I should say Lando's boy Lobot. You know, come on.
Lobot with, like, in the more recent comics, the most tragic backstory.
Yeah. They've really gone hard on Lobot.
I know.
And then other guy with ski goggles?
Look, sometimes you just got to have background characters also on the cover.
I'm here too. Like, it's like, look, it's all your favorites. Han, Leia, Chewie, Lando. I mean, Lobot kids know. And then me, Steve.
He was the figure who came with the Sky Car. Who you could just, like, sit down in the Sky Car.
I remember having so many of those things that came with other things, and you'd have, like, Imperial Officer or Rebel Pilot, you know? Yeah. And you'd be like, okay, well, somebody has to die in this battle, so I guess you. We talked about having the DAC figure because it came with the snow speeder, you know, it's that kind of, yeah. Well, I remember Lobot coming with my Cloud City set.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of Lobot, let's get to this front page here because, we got our interior credits, the greatest space fantasy of all time, as we know.
Oh, well, yeah. Citation needed. But
asterisks.
Alleged. And we get two more randos in here with their weird helmets.
Yeah, again, these are probably like Sky Car drivers.
They've got to be, yeah.
But I do like how, like, every opening page of this coverage so far of Empire Strikes Back has been, like, the preview page. It's kind of fun, and I know it's going to go away, but I've been enjoying it.
Well, once again, because it has that thing. You already know this is what's going to happen in here. So it is like, we'll give him a little Lando right up front. And he's looking good here. He's in a cool, like, hey.
Yeah, I think they do a great job of capturing Billy D. Williams in just terms of, like, his look, but also, like, how he stands and moves in this book.
Man, I mean, few cooler people ever on screen in cinema history than Billy D. Williams.
The one issue this book has where Lando is concerned, I think, is that it's almost impossible to capture his intonation in the written word. And so, like, his performance, which is, like, 85% of Lando is just Billy D. Williams' performance.
Hello, what have we here?
Right. And the other 15% is the cape.
Yeah. When they do, I will say, though, they go all in on the cape because comics can do capes. Obviously.
Oh, comics knows capes.
Look at that cape right on the front. God damn, he looks cool.
On the planet Dagobah, Luke Skywalker is in training to become a Jedi under the instruction of the centuries-old Master Yoda. But even as the young warrior from Tatooine's power and ability grow daily, Darth Vader, now enlisting the skills of the bounty hunter, Boba Fett,
the most important character in all of Star Wars,
continues to hound Luke's friends in the Millennium Falcon.
If there's one thing I do think of Boba Fett doing, it's hounding people.
The number of times they say the name Boba Fett in this issue alone is 10 times more than they say his name in the movie itself.
They're really trying to make him happen, man. Like, that's the thing I said. I didn't realize how right from the start, I guess I just didn't piece together how much it was like, oh, they forced this guy to be popular. Like, of course he is awesome, but it's like, this was, a concentrated effort.
Across mediums, yes.
Yeah, it's just like, because once again, when we come along, he's already just awesome. Right. We grew up already establishing, like, well, obviously we love Boba Fett. You're talking about, of course,
goes without saying.
Yeah, but it's interesting that right from the start they're just like, meet your new favorite character, Boba Fett. We love the Fett Man.
But let's get straight into it as we have the Millennium Falcon making its approach to Cloud City. I love this page. This is a good-looking page.
It's a good-looking... Everything looks as it should. It's a dynamic shot. The Falcon flying up at Cloud City. You got the... I always loved the Cloud cars. Yeah,
they're fun little... Like, why have two... They never made any sense to me in terms of, like, logistics, but they're fun.
No. There was always just something interesting about them. They're orange as well. Like, Yeah, they're the lack of logic almost makes them more appealing. Like it's just like I have so many questions because you're like, what is each pilot controlling on it? Like,
Right, because at least in the TIE bombers, there's one side is the pilot, one side is the bombardier, right? And that like logic is even in that brief scene we see them flying over the asteroids in
yeah,
Empire. You see like, okay, one side has a window, one side doesn't. I can kind of piece together what's happening here.
same thing with the snow speeders, right? You have the gunner in the back and your pilot in the front. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But these have two distinct little craft that are attached by a thing in the middle.
Yeah.
For what reason we don't know.
Yeah. Who's controlling what is a big question there. Is one controlling side to side and one up and down?
I think it's like Pacific Rim. They're kind of like they're drift compatible.
They're drifting. Yeah. I will say, having been to the Star Wars land at Disneyland, the way the Millennium Falcon works on the Millennium Falcon ride is what I just described, which is one person's control is side to side and one person's control is up and down. And it's kind of infuriating. Let me say, if you go on that ride, you better have someone you trust on the co-pilot seat with you, is all I'm saying, because yikes.
Look, you need a good co-pilot. We know this.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. They also, of course, to put more people on the ride, add like, oh, this person's also, you get like two gunners, and then, sorry, the worst position is the repair person, whose job it is to push a button so that the ship is repaired if it takes hits.
Look, somebody needs to be taking up the rear. We know this.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm repairing the ship. Click, click, click. That being said, it was still one of the highlights of my life to fly the Millennium Falcon.
Absolutely.
So anyway, yes, they are approaching. We get a little bit about Cloud City. It's a Tabana gas mine. Lando won it in a sabacc man. It's just like, here you go, Leia, just real quick before we land, let me tell you what the deal with this is.
Yeah, we get even more of that on the next page as they're coming in for a landing, as Han is saying, look, it'll be all right, trust me, but just keep your eyes open, just in case.
Yeah. And so we get what's in the movie. Yeah, they land, and out comes Lando, who is, yes, the mayor of Cloud City, which my pitch is always to do the comic book Citizen Lando and figure out how exactly he got elected to this position, because I'm sure there's a whole story with that.
He's not the mayor necessarily. He's like the governor of this outpost.
I can't remember. I thought they said he was the mayor. This was my memory of it.
No, because he's like, he won. Because Lando or Han's right, he won this like outpost in a sabacc game, right?
Yeah.
And so he's the administrator. That's the
administrator. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Which it's so funny to think of. Once again, it's sort of like when we talk about the Emperor too. It's so funny to think that Lando is like signing off on things. Like the idea of Lando in a position where he's like behind a desk going like, they need what more? Okay, well, we're going to have to reallocate some resources here. And
well, I mean, this pitch like writes itself, because you're talking, okay, it's Parks and Rec, but the mayor of the city is a con artist who had this just fall into his lap, right?
So there'd be a lot of him wheeling and dealing, right? And a lot of like, well, we're going to cut through the red tape with charm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Marvel, if you want Parks and Rec in space, you know who to call. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. So something I don't remember him doing in the movie is going, Lando Calrissian.
Yeah, again, basically all of Han Solo's dialogue in this book has been replaced by Harrison Ford in the movie.
Because it's all just like, why, that is Lando Calrissian, my old friend, seems to be what the dialogue they,
Yeah.
All just information dump shit. And I do think Harrison, as we know on all the movies, did a lot to bring the character of Han Solo to life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's actually something we lose on this next page too. The top two panels, we totally lose the whole like Lando playing Han Solo moment in between the gutters here.
Talk about one of the best moments in the movie where like even Han's like, are we hugging or fighting? Like, it's great.
Han Solo, you slimy double-crossing no good swindler.
Because that's the thing where you talk about, it is It's not unlike Harrison Ford. It's not that Billy D. Williams is changing these lines, but yeah, he is putting so much on these words.
Well, and there's also that moment when he finally breaks and smiles and like
Yeah.
claps him on the shoulder and says, "How you doing, you old pirate?" Like
Yeah.
we lose all of that here in between the gutters.
You also lose, hello, what have we here?
Yeah, look, Lando is not without his erstwhile charms as well as his more upfront
Well, and that
ones.
also further adds to then it's the cut to Han being like, oh, God. It's like you lose a lot of the because you get like what you described earlier about that moment is just written and suddenly Lando can hold his scowl no longer. Laughter fills the morning air and blasters are swiftly lowered. You're like, yeah, that doesn't. I mean, yeah, but that doesn't really give you much of a feel. It's almost just like use your memories from the movies, kids.
Yeah.
You son of a gun, you really had me going for a second.
Yeah. And
I also don't
a lot
remember
of
him
this
calling him Ace at any point in the movie either.
well, look, again, a lot of this dialogue I feel like is smoothed over between Billy D and Harrison Ford. So.
That still leaves you a couple of bluffs ahead, Ace. I can't imagine Lando calling on Ace.
Also, excuse me as I push my glasses through my skull. Sabacc games don't have aces.
I'm aware. I have. let me further push my glasses and say I actually have the official Sabacc game in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Maybe that'll be a YouTube feature at some point. We'll play a game of Sabacc.
Ooh, well,
Yeah.
look, I don't know what our stakes a la Millennium Falcon versus Cloud City would be, but yeah, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Anyway, I do love these lizard guys who are just milling about in this middle panel.
Yeah, look, something I actually noticed in this is that we don't see any Ugnaughts in the whole of this issue.
No.
I feel like maybe these little lizard guys are sort of those replacements for Ugnaughts.
I was gonna say though, chalk it up to more Ugnaught erasure, man.
Look, Ugnaughts, they're constantly belittled, and they are always seeking further representation in books.
It's true, man. Bring on the Ugnaught book, Marvel.
I mean, look, if we're going to have more Ugnaughts, I feel like the classic duo of Hondo and what's his little Ugnaught sidekick from Rebels?
That one you got me on. I know Hondo, obviously, but yeah. I can see it. I don't know.
Oh, I'm blanking on it. Anyway,
You're better with the names of the random side characters.
the glup shittos of it all.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, they're walking. But it also, I just like the laziness of this, where it's just like, I don't know, just put the same alien in the background too. It's like you could have a couple aliens here. No, just they're both lizard guys.
That's why I thought they were like replacement for the Ugnaughts.
Yeah, but they're like one's got like a walking stick and a cat. I mean, they're weird. They're a weird, distracting design, is why I bring them up.
Yeah.
Then we get to cut away to some random aliens here.
Well, it kind of gives us a better sense of like this is a city, this is a metropolis of some kind, and there's a cosmopolitan feel to Cloud City in this book specifically that isn't really in the movie, which I found interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, because you aren't limited by budget here. So in a movie, this shot that we see right here of the city is like, all right, well, now that's a bunch of costumes and makeup we got to put people in,
Right. Well, and that's something they also actually do add in the special edition, right? Is the broader context for Cloud City and replacing some of the stark white walls while they're walking around in these corridors with windows out into
once again
vistas.
We've said this before. I do think Empire Strikes Back is the one that benefits the most from the special edition. It's the one that has the least distracting changes, and actually some of the changes I like. Seeing more of the Wampa, seeing a greater expansion of Cloud City, the replacement of the Emperor from Frog Guy, But there aren't that many changes. And the ones that are in there are like, oh, yeah, that's good, yeah.
Touching up some effects here and there, yeah.
Yeah, it has more of what should have been the goal, which is just to build on and improve little bits of, as opposed to adding whole sections or, radically changing parts of the movie.
Adding musical numbers.
You know what? I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I would accept Han shooting second if we eliminate that sequence. Like that is still the most, as much as, and I hate it too, but the musical sequence in Jedi is the most egregious edition of the special edition.
You would take Han shot second if that meant the death of Sice Noodles?
Yes. That's what I mean. It's like I understand that why the Han shooting second is the most enraging, but if you're talking about the sheer stupidest thing he put in there, it is Sice Noodles, hands down. Because the movie, Han shooting second is a small thing that does change something massively. However, the movie just fucking stops so that he can put in some bullshit.
What do you take away? Sice Noodles or weird insert Jabba scene from...
Oh god, that's a tough one too. It's still Sice Noodles, only because the Jabba scene is extraneous. It's unnecessary. But it's not, it doesn't fill me with the rage that my blood boils. That even as a kid seeing that, I was like, what is this shit?
Well, I really liked musical numbers in movies, so I thought it would be good if we added one.
Whatever they do. Yeah. Oh boy. And it's always longer than I think. Every time I watch, I'm like, God, I forget. It's even longer than I think it is.
I just take solace in the fact that Max Rebo got paid. That's all I know.
As long as that guy's getting residuals, that's all that matters. Who, by the way, did he die in Book of Boba Fett?
Max Rebo?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I thought there was something. I guess that was a different. He said it's not Max Rebo that's playing the cantina that blows up in that, right?
I don't believe so, but I'd have to go back and check.
I thought I remember there being some controversy about whether or not when they blow up Jennifer Beals established Book of Boba Fett, whether that was Max Rebo playing there.
Well, I don't know, John.
I know. I don't mean to distract the whole show with this Max Rebo talk. Welcome back to ReboCast.
Look, the life and times of Maximilian Rebo are important to me. We know this.
That's the book you're currently selling to Marvel. You're going to do it like one of those music picks.
Oh man, the behind the music of Max Rebo would be amazing.
Oh, actually, that, you know what? Sorry, let's cut that out because we're going to make that happen. I don't want anyone to steal that. That'll be our fan film.
Okay. I have an answer. So that was Max Rebo playing in that bar, but the Pipe Syndicate later bombed Sanctuary. However, Rebo survived, according to Star Wars Insider.
I mean, look, we already lost Akbar in a Disney-produced thing, so I can't lose Rebo.
Look, Rebo has a history of surviving explosive gig detonations.
100% he does. I think he might be unkillable.
One of my favorite stories from the Another Point of View Return of the Jedi book is the Max Rebo making it to the gig story, where they have to transport his like little circular keyboard from his house to Jabba's palace, and boy, do hijinks ensue.
I love it. I've only read the New Hope one of those. I need to read the other ones because I love that whole approach. I just think that's so much fun.
They're all fantastic.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, let's get back to the comic because Max Rebo's not here right now.
So all of our friends are walking off except for 3PO, who decides to poke around a little bit. Very unlike him, actually.
This part of the movie has actually always bugged me. Of just like, he knows R2 is off with Luke. Why would he just be distracted by a noise of another R2 droid?
It really does feel like, well, we just need this to happen.
I mean, it sets the stakes that like, oh, there's already a bad guys afoot if 3PO gets taken out of the picture. Like, it sets tension into the film, and I get that.
It does feel like one of those things where everybody's sitting around going, now how do we, I don't know, he just hears something. It's like, we just, I'm so, because I'm sure somebody in the room was like, wait, but why would he? No, I'm sorry. We can't keep talking about this. He's just going to wander off. That's just what's going to happen, folks. So anyway, but yes, 3PO is distracted. I will say, and I do feel like it's probably just to save time on the art. There's lots of things when we turn the page like this, just a bridge in Cloud City with word bubbles so we're not drawing people. And that really does feel like we just got to get through this book. Same thing with even the next page where they're just the silhouettes, or the next panel, I mean.
Yeah, and it's a lot of exposition from between Lando and Han about like, oh, you were so untrustworthy, but it's weird seeing you with a lot of responsibility, and Lando being like, yeah, it'd be weird if I was still a scoundrel, wouldn't it?
You laughed awful hard with that. Yeah. Yeah. Spoiler alert: Lando's gonna end up betraying them. But of course, in the meantime, oh God, not our boy 3PO.
Oh my, those look like kaboom.
The sentence is cut short by the ugly whine of laser bolts. Once again, use of the word laser is fascinating in a Star Wars comic.
And the term blaster wasn't cemented as like the gun that they have in the universe there.
Now, something that I do think when we go to the Dagobah, and great work on this ugly tree, right? Like great on the dark, gnarled, ominous tree, as it says there.
The art brief was evil tree, and they nailed it.
They did. But something I have noticed is they love a shirtless Luke. Now, in the movie, he's always in like the tank top.
Yeah. No, but look, if we're gonna have a space hero, he best bet he'd be shirtless.
Oh yeah, that shirt's coming off, baby. This is the same year as Flash Gordon, a frequently shirtless space hero. So
true.
Although I do like this very out of place dotted mushroom that does not feel like something from the Star Wars universe.
Just a little bit of Wonderland creeping in here. We talked about that before. Like this Dagobah's a little like space acid trip a little.
Yeah, there is sort of that kind of stuff that we've seen creep in a few times where you just go like, no, wait a minute. Because like I said, for everything I love about the tree, then you're like, what is this over here? That doesn't work.
Well, another aspect of the Wonderland vibe of it all is Yoda's constantly changing size.
Oh, jeez.
We're back on this escalator again.
Yeah, because, okay, let's look at him here. He's pretty small right here. He's standing on a little incline, so he's probably only coming up to just above Luke's knee at this height.
He's about the same size as Luke's thigh.
Yeah. But then when we turn the page here, unclear exactly how far in the distance he is here. Can't be that far.
No, because we've seen him standing on Luke's shoulder like Jiminy Cricket in the previous issue.
Yeah.
So for all I know, he's that small.
Look at him on the next one. He's a tiny little thing.
What this panel reminded me of is, okay, big digression.
The show loves him.
A small bit in Peter David's run of The Incredible Hulk, in which the Hulk is shrank down to about this size and rides around on the Abomination trying to influence Emil Blonsky to be a better person.
I love that Peter David run. Yes, I absolutely remember that.
And that's what this reminded me of, is like a tiny green man riding around.
Kinda, yeah, that does have that look, yeah. Oh, jeez. Anyway, shirtless, rippling, muscled Luke goes into the darkness.
What's in there, Master?
And suddenly it is like, hey, man, replace these light blades with metal blades, and this is a fucking Conan image.
The couple of panels here where Luke is in the cave and is confronted by the specter of Darth Vader. I love these panels here, especially this top right one where it's just the shadow of Vader and the red lightsaber coming out of it.
I love that as well. I love it because I do like when Vader is just like a force and he's just a shadow that's coming. We've talked about some of the expressionistic imagery. The manga did a great job with that, of just making him the all-consuming darkness that's coming at people. I will say though, and this is just this is a scene that really suffers in its comic book form. Because you just it honestly looks like you don't even see Luke strike Vader in this. It just looks like he has a heart attack mid-fight.
I was thinking the exact same thing. It's just like comic books can do a really good job of showing dynamic motion, and like having the blade go through the air is a classic old Star Wars comic book thing. But in this, just looks like Luke is coming up, like dragging his lightsaber behind him, and Darth Vader looks like he's clutching at his chest because that third bypass didn't take.
The doctor said I needed more cardio. I didn't believe him. Oh, jeez.
Vader just couldn't stay away from the red meat. Oh.
I regret nothing. And then, what you don't get is, of course, in the movie, that he decapitates him, and then the faceplate exploding open is so much cooler than just suddenly Luke's head being, because that was so evocative and cool. I remember being a kid, and it was just like, oh. I mean, it really did have, because, Empire had such mystique, I feel like, to us as kids, because it was the dark one. As a kid, this is like the darkest movie I've ever seen, and it cut off the villain's head, but then it's his own head, It was, for like, a little kid, that was the trippiest thing I'd seen in a movie.
I mean, it was a big introduction to film symbolism for me.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, you can see something on screen, but it not be literal. It is interpretive. And how the character interprets it and how you interpret it might not be the same thing.
Right, yeah. And so it's a cool moment that just isn't captured here. Although I do like a lot of the approach to the imagery. Like I said, particularly, I would put up that panel of just the shadow of Vader coming is great.
Yeah. But in this middle right panel, we see Luke standing over basically just Darth Vader with his own head on his body. It's like if you swap the heads of the action figures, it looks kind of silly.
Yeah. Also, him saying, "No, that's my face." Not great.
Yeah. And again, in the movie, it's captured better with almost no dialogue of just Luke's shocked expression looking at his own face.
It's an incredibly evocative and scary moment in the movie. Like, it's fantastic. And then back to Cloud City. Meanwhile, on Cloud City,
cloud cars pass lazily outside the window of the suite Lando Calrissian has provided the fugitive rebels.
Pass lazily is a great disguise. Hey, tell them to pick up the pace on those cloud cars. Look at
They're in no hurry. They're on Cloud City time, John.
He's out there, just a guy. He's got his arm out the window going, "How's it going? What's up?
Cloud City, am I right?"
Yeah, that's right. I got a few more payments left on this baby. And then she's all mine. That's such a weird description. I don't think of them as ever being lazy on it anyway. Yeah, it's just another lazy summer day in Cloud City.
Have we... Now, here's an interesting question. In any Star Wars medium, have we seen a vehicle moving, like, slowly enough to be like, like a car can sometimes just like creep down the street as you're talking to somebody on the sidewalk? Have you ever seen that kind of thing?
I don't think so. They're usually going fast and almost
like,
if people
they're
are
called
in
speeders.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's sort of like, people are always in a hurry in Star Wars. Like, it always does feel like if we're in vehicles, it's usually we need to get somewhere fast. You never see Han just cruising in the Falcon, like up. Because even like Jabba's pleasure barge is booking it on Tatooine,
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. No,
the only thing I can think of that kind of like moves at a steady crawl is AT-ATs, but that's like an imposing kind of like slow but inevitable tromp.
I do want to meet that Empire guy who's taking the AT-AT out for a cruise, though. We'll see if I can pick up some chicks, man.
Look, I can get this thing up to 45 miles an hour. That is not recommended in the manual.
And scream down at, "Hey, it's gone!" I crushed her. All right, never mind.
Whoops.
You all saw it. She came at us with a knife. All right.
Jesus.
So they've swapped into their Bespin outfits.
I know. Yes.
Leia did. Han stays on the same thing, but I distinctly remember this action figure as Princess Leia (Bespin).
Mm-hmm. This is also starting to deal with something that has bothered Star Wars fans since this movie came out, is how much time passes in Empire Strikes Back.
It's a good question. It's either not much or a lot, right? Like, that's the thing with it. I mean, it's got to be some sort of issue of relativity, right? Because it seems like much more time is passing for Luke than is passing.
No. We cannot bring time relativity into Star Wars. That way lies madness, John.
It's true, but I'm saying, like, it does seem like Luke spends a lot of time on Dagobah while everything is happening very quickly for Han and Leia.
The best explanations I have seen is that it took Han and Leia quite some time to get from Hoth to Bespin because they were moving at sublight speeds.
I think that is the most you can make sense of it. It's got to be, right? Like, yeah. But the problem therein is just you just don't ever feel that in the movie, right? It never feels like a long journey. But it's the only thing that makes sense because Luke is clearly on Dagobah for weeks at the least, right?
if not months. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's unclear. So anyway, though, yeah, and and it's enough time for these two kids to fall in love.
Yeah. And they're about to smooch when what's this? Chewie walks in with a big bin of 3PO.
Wait a minute! Oh, we got to put them back together now. Ugh. Always one of my favorite things in Empire as a kid is late, particularly when 3PO is walking around, or 3PO is just like on Chewie's back later in the movie. Loved it.
Yeah. Well, because it kind of, again, it skirts the idea of like what is a droid sentience and like what qualifies as alive or dead, when you can just put them back together after they've been dismantled like this and have them be functionally fine.
I also just like Chewie walking in like, excuse me, I found our murdered friend. You two are making out.
Friend is a bit of a stretch if you compare Han Solo and 3PO's relationship.
Our murdered acquaintance.
Our workplace associate.
He's more of a co-worker, really. Yeah. I mean, I know that guy, but you know,
depending on who you ask, he might qualify as a little better than a coffee machine.
What are you talking about? That machine that's at the office?
You found the vending machine? So what?
So they it's very funny though. He comes in with that, and they're like, well, that's bad news.
Yeah, Leia saying, no, something's wrong. Your friend's very charming, but I don't trust him. Like, this is a refrain from the movie where Leia just, like, never quite settles in on Lando's charms.
What I like about this is that Han's just like, God, well, just send him to get repaired. And Leia's just like, no, wait, I think somebody did this, and it's an indication that something bad is happening. Han is just willing to chalk it up to, I don't know, 3PO got broken somehow. Who cares?
He must have tripped and fell.
Yeah. You know how clumsy that guy is. Anyway, send him out to be repaired.
Also, I love the idea that, like, a couple of blaster bolts just made all of his limbs fall off. Just like, how sturdy is 3PO? Like, is he popping apart like some kind of early 70s action figure?
Right, yeah. Well, it does seem like that.
Wasn't there an action figure where you press the button and all the limbs fell off?
Oh, absolutely there was.
I'm trying to remember what that was.
You could put him back together.
Yeah. Oh, well. Lando shows up now, also interrupting, asking if they want to join him for dinner. But we know what kind of dinners get presented on Bespin. Thankfully, we cut back to the mist-shrouded woods in Dagobah. More of those spotty mushrooms are around. Also, what's up with the hose leading from the X-Wing to the water? Is he just pumping the water out of his X-Wing, I guess?
But it appears to be connected to R2 specifically.
Yeah, what's up with that? Is R2 pumping out the water? Is R2 an emergency water pump?
In the event of a crash, please grab your nearest astromech.
I mean, yes.
Yeah. I don't know. That is a weird note that I would be curious to know where they got that from. Was that in a description of something? Was that in some piece of art they had? I don't know why they would just add that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Once again, these mushrooms are multiplying now. The Wonderland mushrooms they're an invasive force here. All right, so once again, tiny little Yoda.
Tiny little Yoda.
Tiny little guy. But then back to kind of being Yoda, maybe, depending on Force perspective, in this next panel. Although maybe he's sitting on his shoulder whispering in his ear, too. Could go either way. Again,
the one thing that like continuously weirds the both of us out, we get it in this middle panel on the right, is the idea that Yoda has knees of any kind is always somehow upsetting.
Weird, yeah, because there he is in that next panel where he's once again very small.
Yeah, but Luke is trying to meditate and connect with the Force. He says he thought he saw Ben for a second, this is a thing that's absolutely not in the movie. Because when Obi-Wan appears in Empire near the end, he's just suddenly there.
Yeah. I gotta sit down. But he's there, and he's also, of course, he's talking about. I see a city in the clouds. It's Bespin. My friends are there, but they're in pain, suffering. And of course, this is you see in the future. And when this leads us to the classic thing that becomes the whole crux of the end of the Dagobah storyline is: does he finish his training, or does he go save his friends?
Yeah. And
Guess
therefore
what he
decide
does?
you must how best to serve them. If you leave now, help them you could, but you would destroy all for which they have fought and suffered.
Yep, it's great.
Which, I don't understand that from Yoda.
Okay.
Why? He doesn't know Luke's friends. How does he know that him leaving would destroy all they've fought for?
I don't know. It's another thing where it's like, well, Yoda has to be against this.
Yeah, no, this is Yoda leading into the stodgy Jedi need to be removed from personal connections. They don't go into that as much in the original trilogy as they do in the prequels, but the idea of like Jedi removing themselves.
It does make more sense if you add in the context of the prequels, actually.
Yeah.
There's just like, friends? We don't have friends. Come on, man.
The last Skywalker who tried to do everything he could to help somebody he loved turned into Darth Vader.
Yeah, man. You know how that went.
He doesn't, but we'll get there.
You'll see those soon. Those movies you will see.
But as a chill passes through the apprentice Jedi, the objects of his concern stroll in pleasant sunlight on Cloud City's walkway.
With, once again, it's really spotlighting this guy in this furry coat here.
Look, it's cold out there in Bespin.
It's a chill in the air, I tells you. And more
Lando
goggles.
actually even says that. We're proud of it. The air is quite special here. Stimulating. You grow to like it.
Yeah. Look, hey, 2 months in this air, you'll feel 5 years younger. I'm telling you. Yeah, and so yeah, but he's like, yeah, everybody just they're repairing the Falcon. Don't get bent out of shape, everybody. Mm-hmm. And then it's dinner time.
Again, not to keep highlighting these books, but one of my favorite stories from the Empire Strikes Back, from a certain point of view, is the person who had to prepare this dinner.
That is a great idea. That's a very funny concept.
It's like, does Darth Vader even eat? Does he need a straw? Will he insulted if I don't provide a straw?
Will he be insulted if I do provide us? I mean, think about it. Like, yeah, you asking that one, you think I can't drink?
Yeah.
Get out of my face. Yeah, so they walk in, and wouldn't you know it, and it's one of my favorite moments in all of Star Wars, is Han Solo just quick drawing and opening up on Vader. Like, just his instant, just like, Darth Vader, die!
I love the captioning here when it says, the draw, the shot, are fantastically swift, perhaps the best Han Solo has ever made in a long career of being good with a blaster.
Now, that's actually where the comic is building on imagery from the movie, which is cool. And then, yeah, just the simple hand up like he does in the movie, too, is just and just hitting his palm.
Against any other opponent, they would have been devastating. Any but Darth Vader, Lord of the Sith.
Bullets are deflected away to explode harmlessly against the walls.
Yeah.
This is an interesting Vader thing, though, right? I mean, so I guess the idea is it's not hitting him, per se. He's actually just deflecting it with the Force, right?
Yeah. And obviously we'll see this to, like, greater extent in other mediums, but...
Because the way it's drawn here, it looks like it's hitting his hand and then bouncing, like, once again, like he's made of steel or something.
That's sort of how it looks in the movie, too.
Yeah, which we just have to be like, no, it's got to be like, it's almost like he's built a force field that's like right at the edge of his hand is kind of how I think.
Pretty
of it,
much,
right?
yeah.
It's just like it's deflecting at the absolute last minute. Because once again, he's not indestructible. If that did hit, it would blow up his hand.
Right.
So it's got to be that. All right, everybody, we solved that now.
Vader letting us know, Boba Fett and I would be honored if you would join us.
You know Boba Fett. Everybody know Boba Fett. He's pretty cool. Get
You
your
know,
boys
he's the
out.
second coolest helmet in this room.
That's the thing about it, yeah. Do you make sure no Vader figure complete without a Boba Fett next to him? Two famous pals, right? Is that a thing? We're gonna do that? Nope. Okay.
The Vader Boba Fett buddy comedy.
Oh boy, are we in trouble this time, Boba?
Boba, I
No.
asked you to throw that milk out 2 weeks ago.
They'll rule the galaxy if they don't kill each other first. Yeah, no, they're really trying to make Boba Fett happen.
Oh, yeah. Somewhere behind the trio of rebels comes the familiar clatter of stormtrooper boots.
I love that caption because we don't see it.
Nope.
Like,
Just
trust
know
us,
that there are
folks.
stormtroopers. Yeah,
There's some
they're
stormtroopers
there.
back. But mainly, you're going to want to focus on Vader and Boba Fett, the action figures you need this Christmas, kids.
Yeah, look, you need everybody that's attending this dinner party.
And get our dining room playset that I'm sure they did make.
Did that exist?
I have to know now.
The only dining room I know of that exists in the toys is Luke's Tatooine home, right? With like the blue milk and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, let me take a look here. Okay, well I've got Echo Base, obviously. Here's the Cloud City playset, which is the carbonite chamber. Makes sense. You got the Dagobah action playset. Of course. All right, I'm not necessarily seeing the dining room. It seems like the Cloud City one was the... Wait, hold up. Darth Vader's dinner trap. Yep, there it is, folks. From the fine folks at Kenner, it's Darth Vader's dinner trap playset.
Yes.
You can have the blaster bolt coming out of Han's gun at him.
Oh, when was this released?
That's what I gotta see. Dinner trap playset. Hold on.
I just want to know if this was an after the fact or did they have this ready for the holiday release?
Kids are gonna really want to reenact that dinner set scene.
Dinner trap playset. I love
Dinner trap. Well, I love the idea of referring to it as a dinner trap. Ha ha! You thought there'd be dinner. There will only be doom. There it is. Dinner trap playset. I can't tell. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, no, it's the 30th anniversary one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. From the Betrayal on Bespin set. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
It's part of the Battle Packs collection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting note on this page, actually, because we cut back to Dagobah, and this Yoda that's over Luke's shoulder here, I'm pretty sure this is old, art Yoda. They didn't replace this Yoda with green Yoda. This is blue Yoda that is just, like, still inserted in here.
Shadowy, they were like, leave it.
Yeah. Because as we've discussed in the past, when this book was originally came out, the way they drew Yoda in this book was using the Macquarie concept art. So they had this weird blue swamp goblin of a Yoda to work off of.
Little gabbling man in a swamp planet. I did drop the so you can see it. I did drop the dinner trap playset photo in the chat here for the. There you go. Betrayal on Bespin.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate that.
It can be yours for $100 on eBay.
Oh, nope, I'm good.
It's brand new, never been opened. It's still in seal. Don't worry, folks. Don't you worry.
I just realized opening that slightly messed up our.
Sorry.
YouTube, but oh well.
We can't have fun. Anyway, yeah. Here goes. So Luke is gonna take off though. And they tell me this is a vision of Ben Kenobi, but he kind of just looks like a blob.
Yeah, looks. The art is strange here. It looks like they're trying to make it look misty and kind of foggy here, but it makes the characters pretty indistinct.
Well, what is on his head?
A hat.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Obi-Wan's iconic hat. He never went anywhere without that hat, folks.
Look, maybe it's his yarmulke. I don't know.
Devoutly Jewish.
Look, don't you know that they changed his name at Ellis Island from Kenobowitz?
Nobowitz. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. And then Yoda is maybe other than when he was saying, but one of the smallest we've seen between the two of them.
Oh yeah, he's very wee here.
You can't even see him there. Oh boy. But then we cut to a very close-up, detailed Alec Guinness.
Yes, not even like blue Force Ghost Alec Guinness, just straight up Alec Guinness.
And absolutely. And telling him once again is like, "Don't do it, Luke. Only a fully trained, Jedi Knight will conquer Vader and his Emperor. That guy too. Save that for the next movie, but you're gonna have to fight him as well."
You're the last Jedi, Luke. It won't be important for like 20 years, but remember, you're the last Jedi.
Yeah, well, maybe not. I don't know. We haven't figured out a lot of stuff. Still waiting on a lot of information still, because we're not sure if there's going to be one more movie or like a bunch more movies.
Turns out both.
Because that was the thing. There's listening to Star Wars about that. Like Lucas was thinking, well, maybe I make 6 of these, and then after Empire was so hard, he was like, maybe I just make one more.
No.
But yeah, it was unclear exactly how it wasn't. Let me just say, it wasn't always just going to be a trilogy,
right? And it's so curious about whether or not he would actually try to go do the prequels after this, if he like felt up to doing that after Jedi, or do you move into what his plans for the sequels were after Jedi?
There is stuff. There is comments from Hamill when, like, right after Jedi, where he goes, "Yeah, George is telling me we're going to take a while off, let us age up, and then it'll be about us being older, and that'll be the next thing." So that he already had. He was definitely flirted with the idea of either going backwards or forwards. It was unclear.
Yeah.
Because then I remember it was in the 90s when we were kids is when he was really hot on the idea of it was going to be the prequels. We knew that was what to expect next if he was to ever pick it up again.
Right. So Luke is getting into his X-Wing. He's taken out of here. Yoda and Obi-Wan are being like, ugh, this kid, fucking Skywalkers, man.
Can you believe this shit, Yoda? God damn.
Believe it, I cannot.
The boy is our last hope. No, Obi-Wan, there is another. And then with that one line, to this day, we speculate forever about what he is talking about. Or who he is talking about.
Oh, no, I know. He's talking about Ezra Bridger.
Well, there are people so dug in about what he's talking about. Because when we just had the trilogy... And we knew after Jedi, we're like, oh, well, he's talking about Leia, right? Because that's the thing. And then people are like, no, no, he's talking about. I mean, of course, a lot of people tell you he's talking about Rey. He can see that far into the future. You could think he's talking about Ahsoka. You could, like I said, and the thing is, it's one line that is never given the answer. So whatever you want it to be, it can be, folks. It's one of those, right? If you want that to be whoever, if you want it to be Ezra Bridger. By God, it easily can be.
It's Cal Kestis.
Sure. Why not? I mean, once again, it's just like, I don't know. The answer is they didn't know.
Right. Well,
they wrote that line without. They had some ideas.
Yeah, Luke was thinking about, or George was thinking about Luke's sister as this whole other character named Kira, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were. Leia was not that once again, that's an example too in Jedi where he started collapsing going, let's just wrap it up. So it's just like, Leia's his sister. But originally the whole idea was he was always going to have a sister, but it was going to be a different character.
Yeah.
So,
Meanwhile, Han's getting tortured.
Oh, is he ever, man? It's actually, I feel like it looks more brutal here in the comic than it is in the movie, even.
Well, especially with the caption, Darth Vader listens for a while without great interest and then turns.
He's like, what's that back there? The screams of torture. To join my best friend, Boba Fett. Boba, old buddy.
Boba, have you taken the garbage out? What do you mean you disintegrated it? Oh, we're going to have disintegrated garbage smell in here for a week.
Oh, Boba, you know about the landlord's policy on disintegrating trash. That's great. We're never getting that security deposit back. Oh, I love this idea, too. The odd couple with Darth Vader and Boba Fett.
It feels like a Robot Chicken sketch, but yeah.
It absolutely. Oh, it's the opening. This is for old sitcom nerds like myself, but because in the opening of The Odd Couple, Oscar drops his cigar on the ground, and Felix picks it up with the point of his umbrella. But in this, it would be he would drop the cigar on the ground, and Boba Fett would just disintegrate it, right? Boba. It's called linguine. Anyway.
What a reference for nobody.
For all those original 1968 Odd Couple movie fans. Now it's garbage. One of my favorite jokes in that movie. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. His pain is great. His pain is great, Bounty Hunter. And by Bounty Hunter, I mean Boba Fett. Toys available now. And just, yeah. I mean, this is good stuff, though. I mean, this is all fine.
Yeah. And we get Lando being like, hey, that wasn't part of the deal. And Vader being like, well, wouldn't it be a shame if I changed the deal?
Yeah. I'm kind of famously a bastard. Yeah. I don't know what happened to the printing error or whatever, but I will say, I hope you don't think you're being treated unfairly, Calrissian, on this page here. The Y gets cut off, so it looks like a V in unfairly.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. It's tough to tell with some of the lettering in this.
That's what I mean. It just looks like a printing error or something.
Yeah.
But it just looks like
unfairly.
Unfair. That's right. I make up words, and because I'm Darth Vader, you have to just go with it.
He would be that kind of boss, right? Like, insert made up words into his speech pattern.
I'm sorry, did I say something incorrectly that you wanted to mention? No, sir. That's what I thought. You do not correct Vader. Love this lingering Lobot, like this the forced perspective of this. Like, it's just like, yeah, it's a Lando line, but we're really focused on Lobot's reaction.
You know, Lobot, this deal's getting worse all the time.
I've got a bad feeling about this. Yeah, I said it.
I don't think Lando doesn't say the I've got a bad feeling about this line in Empire.
He does not.
I'm pretty sure it's Leia, right?
I think it is, yeah.
As they're like moving into the asteroid field, I think. Somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think that I do think it's in the Falcon, and I think you're right, that's where it is. But apparently in some draft, Lando said it here.
Yeah. Well, and obviously, like, this is only the second movie. That is not it needs to be said in every movie and episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that absolutely feels like a thing where George Lucas, just being the kind of writer he is, was just putting that in there, and then it turned into a thing.
Yeah.
What?
Meanwhile, we've got Chewie putting 3PO back together. He's putting him on backwards, you flea-bitten furball.
Oh, 3PO. Come on now. He's doing the best he can. And then, yeah, this like silhouette of them just throwing an absolutely tortured Han Solo, who really, with this coloring, looks like a straight-up corpse when Chewie's holding him.
Yeah.
He's just blue.
The harsh reds and purples here on this bottom right panel, when Lando comes in and confronts Han. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Good stuff. Once again, I wish they would actually lean more into, as I've talked about, this stuff, because at least then it gives it its own vibe. The expressionistic stuff, I think, is some of the best in this. And yeah,
Lando's like, hey, I'm trying to help you, and Han being like, some help.
And then we get this great moment of Han punching Lando in the most dramatic comic book kind of punching.
It's like Captain America punching Hitler.
It really is that level of... It needs a full sound.
Full right cross across Lando's jaw.
It's the kind of punching, actually, we will see Harrison Ford do the next year as Indiana Jones. That's an Indiana Jones haymaker. Yeah,
because Lando's figured out that they're trying to trap this kid named Skywalker, and all the Han and Leia are bait for this kid.
Yeah, I don't even know him, so you just let him get captured, and this will be fine. And then you get, of course, you certainly have a way with people. So yeah, and then oh boy, okay, I do love all the depictions of the carbonite chamber.
Yeah, they do a good job of lighting it ominously and like filling it full of like weird semi-threatening machinery. It's good.
Which is, I mean, it's one of my favorite sets in the movies too, because it's a distinct moment in Empire that does indicate how much darker a movie it is. All of a sudden, you're in this place, and as a kid, it will always just that feeling of like, ooh, it just. One of the things that's so great about Empire and why it is one of the best sequels is it totally changes like the color palette of the franchise. Like Empire doesn't look like A New Hope.
No,
it's fantastic, and Jedi has its own vibe too. You know, that's the thing that was so great about them, and I wish. Maybe more stuff would learn from that.
So we've got stormtroopers reporting to Vader saying, hey, this Skywalker kid's coming. Vader's like, okay, good.
Nice.
But we got just this carbon freezing chamber. Who do we got laying around that we can just pop in this, maybe?
Let's see. Who do we have?
Well, not Leia, because that's my daughter. Not Chewbacca, because he's cool. And the hair would get everywhere.
Oh, geez. Can that hair even freeze? We don't know. Let's not know. Yeah.
How about the guy we just tortured? What about him?
Yeah. Oh, wait, Han Solo. Hey, that guy's unimportant, right?
What's that? Harrison Ford wants to quit the franchise? All right, let's put him on ice and see what happens.
Yeah, he's in bitter contract negotiations. All right, this could go either way then. Perfect. Yeah.
Which is kind of what happened, right?
No, that's exactly what it is. Unclear whether Harrison was going to come back. So the note to Kasdan was find a way to like leave him in limbo.
Yeah.
Because as we know, Harrison Ford almost from day one was like, I don't know if I want to do any more of these. Wanting to get out of Star Wars.
God bless him, but he'd do 3 more over the course of 3 decades.
Well, and he was the one who really pushed Kasdan to go, I should die in Jedi, right? That would make the most sense. He goes, that's the completion of my character arc. I didn't believe in it, then I die for the cause. Which I follow, but it is also just like, get me out of these for the love of God.
He's perfectly happy now. Look, that's not even an excuse. He came back after his character had been killed in Force Awakens. So.
Yeah, although...
For better or worse.
Look up any comments he had about that, and he seemed to be like, I don't even fucking know what that was about. Sure. Well, I'm sure it was like, can you shoot it at my house? Like, put up a green screen and I'll do a couple lines. Yeah, no, it's true. But he was always on board for more Indiana Jones, of course. Anyway, yeah. Bring in Solo and the look of like, say what?
Yeah, Lando's not down for all this. But cut to this next page. I love this approach page of the X-Wing coming into Cloud City.
Both of the Falcon and the X-Wing, like Cloud City in the air, it looks really cool. It is more comic book and colorful, but we're not in Wonderland imagery. It's great.
But there's also this like dark tendrils of smoke coming up from the bottom that like really exemplifies like, okay, no, something's gone wrong here.
It's great. That's good stuff. Well, I do think one of the big differences having Al Williams is ship design. Like the ships look he puts so much more detail into his ships, and it really shows.
I really think he's probably like working under some like toys sitting on his desk level at this point.
And I think, that's all. I think that's part of it. And I think also, once again, I don't mean to bag on Carmine Infantino by any imagination, but I think also a younger artist who's a little bit hungry for it and is willing to maybe put some more time into it.
Yeah. Also, this is very like high profile. You're covering Empire Strikes Back. You know these issues are going to sell well, so you put more time and effort into it.
Yeah. All credit to Al Williamson. Who did die in 2010? I was going to say, is he still alive? No, sadly.
Next page, we've got everyone's favorite character, Boba Fett, with a line of dialogue.
Yeah, he talks a lot more. They clearly, between drafts, went, let's take out some Boba Fett dialogue.
Well, and he does have this line in the movie, but he never refers to Vader as Lord Vader.
Because he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Boba Fett's not part of the Empire. He's his own thing, man.
Boba Fett would be the character to be like, hey, Vader, why are you using those made-up words in front of your coworkers? That's weird, man.
I can't do anything. He doesn't work for me. Independent contractor. God damn it.
What are you going to do? Call HR?
Yeah, that's right. I'm the bad boy. Resident bad boy. Yeah.
I love that in that particular dynamic, Boba Fett is the like a rebel without a cause, and Vader's the stuck-up rules follower.
Boba's the guy who enters with the good when he's in the room. You just got Boba'd. All the other guys are like, Boba Fett's so cool.
Vader's just like, he's not that cool.
Yeah, I do that. I think he's pretty lame, actually, is what I...
He doesn't do his laundry very much.
I'm always finding pieces of armor lying around, uncleaned. God damn
One
it.
time he came out into the kitchen only wearing his helmet. It was gross.
Totally disgusting, man. I don't need to see that. All right, so they're gonna put Han in the carbonite chamber. Chewie very upset. Leia very upset.
And this is where we get like the most famous Harrison Ford line change in all of Star Wars.
Yeah, and like talk about one of the great stories of an actor knowing his character better than the people making it, right? Because you get the well, also they just cut down a lot of this, the whole thing, because it just cuts from Han, oh Han, I love you. I couldn't tell you before, but it's true. In the movie,
And that's Carrie Fisher just cutting all of that. Yeah,
because it's one of the most iconic couplets of lines in movie history. Is just her simply saying I love you and him saying I know.
Yeah, and you can see it all in Carrie Fisher's performance, where she's like struggling to find the words, and she just settles on the most simple, basic ones.
Well, and something that Ford, I've heard on many movies, not just the Star Wars movies, Ford is famous for cutting dialogue, for going through a script with it and just going, I can do all this in a look. Like, no, I don't. You don't need me to say any of this, because I think both of them really understand what screen acting is, right? Like they understand it's all about that close up. And yeah, it's this is overridden, and also it doesn't sound like Leia to go, Han, oh Han, I love you. I couldn't tell you, but it's true. And then him saying, just remember that, Leia, because I'll be back. So there is a world where Han Solo could coin the catchphrase "I'll be back." Hey, that's my line. No.
When does Terminator come out?
It's 84, I believe.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So this was
that might have been if that had been said in Terminator, that would have been a Star Wars reference.
Yeah.
In that universe.
Well, and Jim Cameron wouldn't have that because he, of course, has never been inspired by anything. He's never borrowed.
No, it's true. Yeah, it's all original.
Never at all. Yeah, it's all from his own imagination.
Yeah. Of course.
Mm-hmm. Star what? Never saw it. I don't even like
Dances with Who?
Yeah. I don't even like movies, okay? I only just never saw any movie ever. He definitely has never read anything by one Harlan Ellison. There definitely wasn't a lawsuit about that. Anywho, there's a reason. I'll just say this, kids, look it up, because there's a reason your copy of Terminator Now says inspired by the works of Harlan Ellison.
Yep.
I'll just say that. All right. So yeah,
next page, we get a swiftly, the captain of the Millennium Falcon is strapped to the chamber's hydraulic lift platform. He has time for a brief glance at his friends. Then, to their horror, the platform drops and fiery liquid cascades down into the opening from the jets above.
This whole last page looks great, and is the stuff I've loved about, because it's all the panels here have that expressionistic, the way Chewie's holding Leia, and just the huge burst of energy that's coming out of there.
And then a completely unnecessary block of dialogue from C-3PO.
They're encasing him in carbonite. It's a high-quality alloy, much better than my own. He should be quite well protected if he survived the freezing process.
I wonder how much Anthony Daniels cut his own dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, you also got to throw into this too, Kirshner, right? Because one of the reasons I think Empire is objectively a better movie. I mean, you in terms of what's your favorite, but like objectively, is Kirshner was a drama filmmaker. He'd never really done genre before, at least not to this extent. So he really was an actor's filmmaker who thought about the emotions of scenes and stuff much more than Lucas. So I think that's also part of it too. Is I'm sure, and one of the reasons why Fisher and Ford were allowed to change stuff much more so than on the first movie was Kirshner wanted that. Wanted like let's build a scene, let's figure out the emotional beats of it. So all props to him, director of RoboCop 2, Irvin Kershner. Never forget, he made 2 classic sequels, Empire and RoboCop 2.
I like that we get a brief aside with Lando here, though. And
Yes.
no one at the scene knows better what a big if that is than Lando Calrissian, who
That's
winces
great.
in sorrow.
Because they don't know at this point what Lando's journey as a character is going to be, but they are seeding the Lando we know of a guy who is. I mean, you can feel the confliction in the movie, obviously, but this whole idea about that we're going to see a redemption story for Lando in the next movie.
Yeah.
And something that the current comics have done really well, I think.
Oh, yeah. Especially like the ongoing run that's happening right now that takes place between Empire and Jedi. All the Lando stuff in that is gold.
Well, because that's all the stuff that's missing, right? Like, enough time has passed that you're like, but there'd be like a huge point in time they'd be like, hey, didn't you fucking betray us, man? Like, I don't know if I can trust you with anything. This last panel with Luke is also awesome of like, and Luke Skywalker enters the fray.
Yeah, no, it's good. Next issue, Duel with a Dark Lord.
Hell yeah. I hope that goes well.
But yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Turn the page. We get another little extra, which is an interesting Terry Austin pinup.
We got a couple of pinups here at the back of this issue, like we did last issue, of just awesome comic book artists doing scenes from Empire. And yeah, Terry Austin coming in for a pinup of the gang on Hoth. I love this like hyper detailed look.
It's so awesome. And then you get our buddy Michael Golden, who we love the work he did on that fill-in issue before this. Mm-hmm. And it's a great just walkers exploding, and I mean it's such chaos. I love this pinup. Yeah,
just like the ATSTs like walking around through Hoth, blowing people up, rebels going flying. There's all these tiny little minute details throughout the whole page that I really, really liked.
It really is seeing all these guys here at the end is like, oh, look, it's the next generation of legends because, oh, who's this last guy? That's John Byrne. Did he ever do anything?
You might know him from a couple of things, like, oh, I don't know, most of Claremont's X-Men.
Mm-hmm. Redefining Superman for a whole new generation. Maybe the best Fantastic Four run. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a guy who's going to change comics forever is coming in here with this. Great. Oh, man. 3PO just exploded. I will say, the way John Byrne renders this, there's no way to put this 3PO back together.
No. His torso is gone.
Yeah.
We do get Maurice Severin here doing a really good-looking Yoda. Like, this is the Yoda we know and love.
Oh, I wish Yoda looked like this in this. And once again, it doesn't look photorealistic. It's a cartoony style, but it evokes Yoda, right? And then this last one. Dude, I need a print of this because
fucking Frank Miller coming in swinging so hard with Vader and Luke clashing on Bespin.
It is gorgeous. Look at this thing. And I mean, here's the genius of Frank Miller. Not only do you have this like the ink splatter and stuff like that, but the idea that we're looking up the staircase at it is such a unique. Oh God, yeah, it is just like, well, here you go, folks. Here's panels from people who are these are the young pups at the time who are going to come in and change comics. These are all the people who will be our icons, right? Like
this a slightly trimmed down version of this is now the background on my phone. I'll say that much.
Oh, nice. As it should. No, I'm seriously going like, where can I get a print of this? Because it is one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars art now.
Yeah, no, Frank, for those who aren't watching us on YouTube, come join us over on YouTube first off. But yeah, the composition of this piece is just like, these last few pages of pinups have been like, oh, these are all the people that are going to redefine art for Marvel Comics in the next 5 years.
Absolutely. I mean, because you've already got, I mean, at this point they do say artist and writer of Daredevil. So we're at the point where he has taken over as the chief. Because, I mean, he was artist on Daredevil for a little while before he became artist and writer. And that book is such a it's not solely the reason, but it is such a great example of the modern style of comic book. Like, you want to talk about a transitionary piece of comic book storytelling. That Frank Miller Daredevil run is like, there are comics before and after that.
Right. But yeah, so that was issue number 43 of Marvel, the Star Wars. Next issue, we're going to be wrapping up with issue number 44, the last of the Empire Strikes Back coverage.
Dark Lord, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how it's going to go for our heroes. I wonder if Luke's going to find out anything about his heritage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing we know for sure is that Luke Skywalker's father was a super good dude.
I mean, he was a spice freighter, right? Or actually, no, he was a Jedi Knight. Actually, no, he was betrayed by another Jedi Knight. Actually, who trained him? Yoda? Or was it Obi-Wan?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that Lucas may not have figured out in the moment. Anyway, yeah, of course, if you want more from this show and all the shows from the Punch Up Entertainment Network, you want to head over to our Patreon page, which is patreon.podbean.com/punchup. Said you get cool exclusive bonus content as well as help us out. Once again, that's patreon.podbean.com/punchup.
And I mentioned it before, but one of the best ways to watch this show and experience any show on the Punch Up Entertainment Network is over on our YouTube page, youtube.com/punchupentertainment. There you can watch this show, which is, well, as we say, one of the best ways to consume, because you can read along with us and see that Frank Miller panel that we were just gushing over. But while you're there, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments below who is your favorite comic book artist that you've seen like doing Star Wars over the years, because there have been a ton of people at this point, and there are some though that I would love to see do more Star Wars. Like, if we could,
I wish Frank Miller had done more in Star Wars, right?
I'm saying, like, yeah, but I'd be curious to know what other people want out of their Star Wars artists, because obviously we've seen a very limited scope of them at this point.
This is true.
But I think that's going to do it for us this week. I have been Mike Ergoni.
I'm John Campbell.
And as always, may the panel be with you.